College football is going to have jersey patches this year, and we're going to find out who Ohio State has coming soon. But we did get a little bit of a leak coming out with Jeremiah Smith posting a jersey Instagram story. And so to talk about it all, we have Connor Smith with us here once again from BuckeyeHuddle.com. Connor, the jerseys for Ohio State, there's a lot to be excited about, but there's not a lot for fans to be excited about with the jersey patches, as fans do not really want to see them or anything like that. I know this is a part of college football now, and so there's many people wondering, what will that jersey patch be? Well, we're going to bring up a picture here in just a second, but before we get into it, what's kind of your thoughts on the jersey patches and things like that that's going to be happening? And do you think do you dislike it for college football? Do you dislike it for Ohio State?
I really used to dislike it. Like I was heavily against it when pro teams started doing it. I think MLB was the first big one with their partnerships. But as they've gotten more used to it and they've learned how to make it more sleek. I don't really mind as much when you look at the Ohio State patch that they've got right now, whatever that may be. It's smaller, it's sleek, it's not really super out there like flashing in your face. My whole thing was I never wanted the jerseys to look like NASCARs, and so far they have not, but hopefully that stays where they have one jersey or they have one patch or one sponsorship. But overall, from what we saw off of Twitter and Instagram, I think they look fine at the moment.
Yeah, let's go to Instagram post from Jeremiah Smith here. So it's a little small there. I have another image that we can kind of blow up here in a second, but this was the Instagram story we got from Jeremiah Smith with a picture of the jersey. You can see the new gray sleeves there, and then up there in that little left hand corner, the right shoulder of the player there, is a little extra patch there that we were not seeing before. Here a little bit. Kinda looks like the Chase Bank logo there, and of course, the words right under it there. Now, this nothing here is official. This is not, Ohio State has not announced, "Oh, we've got a jersey patch, and this is who it is," as most places have. Michigan State, I think they had MSU Union, was theirs. I think Wisconsin's gone with Culver's at this point, so nothing for sure has been announced yet by Ohio State, but if this does look correct, that looks like a Chase Bank, patch there to me. Am I crazy on that, Connor?
I think you're spot on. Obviously, it's kind of hard to tell, especially with the angle and the lighting there, but it does look eerily similar to that logo.
Yeah, yeah, it looks like it. So I think there were a lot of people wondering, what would the jersey patch for Ohio State be like? Would it be something that is kind of Ohio State? Is it something else? Or how do you feel about the Chase Bank? This isn't something. I mean, this is something that has obviously a lot of employees in Columbus, and there's been a lot of businesses that are kind of Columbus. But when I think of Chase Bank, I don't necessarily think of Columbus, Ohio. It's the very first thing I if it is Chase Bank, what are your thoughts on that being the, patch that they went with, and does it, kinda communicate Ohio State and Columbus enough for you?
Honestly, not really. I'm with you. It's a big national brand, and of course, there are several branches or locations within the Columbus area. But again, it's not a Columbus-based thing. I think you could have done a couple more brands. Again, if that is what it is, you could have done a couple more brands or more local spots to fully encompass Columbus, Ohio. So I am with you on that. I think there could have been better options, but at the same time, we don't know the details of what went on behind closed doors.
Now, I will say, just from the aesthetic standpoint, and we're kinda getting a little nitpicky here with it, but entertain me for a second, Connor. It it doesn't feel super off, right? I mean, my fear was that they would go with a jersey patch that would, like, have a big emblem and a whole bunch of color, and, like, you'd have, like, blue on the jersey or something like that. I never really thought Ohio State would do that, but that was always kinda my fear of, like, well, what if they start mixing other colors in here? It white logo that blends in pretty seamlessly. I mean, yes, you have Chase Bank under it, it looks like there. I mean, if this is the type of logo we're getting, it looks the Nike logo and the Big Ten logo on there. It doesn't necessarily look too out of place.
No, I mean, it looks fine. That was something I kinda mentioned earlier. You look at with the MLB, and I believe the company's pronounced Strauss, but they have the big logo on each side of the batting helmets. That's too much, it's overdone. I don't really mind whenever it's like this, it's out of the way, it's not super blocky where it's you look at their jerseys and say, "That's not an Ohio State jersey, that's a whatever brand jersey that is." But as you said, white, it blends in with the numbers, the Nike logo, even part of the sleeves. So I think they did a good job with making sure that it blends in, but also showing whatever sponsorship they have picked up.
Yeah, yeah. I totally agree. Now, if my assumption here, there is a possibility that you could still get more jersey patches on here because, when you go to a bowl game and stuff like that, you leave the other shoulder bare to make that happen. And according to the NCAA rules, I was looking this up earlier, you can technically have three patches on your jersey. It's a little interesting the way that they've done this, but you can have kind of a primary patch and then you can kind of have two smaller patches. The only thing is, when you go to like the Big Ten championship game or when you go to a bowl game or something like that, the bowl chip game is going to assume that spot there. So, I mean, it's purely speculation here. I'm not asking you for any like inside info or anything, Connor. Do you foresee Ohio State to go with additional patches here? Is that something the fans need to be worried about, or do you feel like hey, they've got the Chase Bank one there, and the Chase Bank one's going to make a good amount of money for them? Do they really need more?
I really don't have any inside intel on that. I'm with you. I'm hoping they don't do that. Especially whenever they get into the postseason, Big Ten championship, CFP, whatever. If you have a secondary sponsor or secondary patch plus whatever else you have on top of that, it's going to look like I said earlier. It's going to look like a NASCAR or like the jerseys from the '90s when you had, like, for example, Michigan in the Rose Bowl day, that massive patch. I can't stand that. I'm hoping they keep it like this. I think it's sleek, it's clean, doesn't do too much. But fingers crossed they don't add a second patch because that would be atrocious.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. And we'll get to the sleeves here in just a second. One more kind of discuss is that Ohio State is rumored to be making the most money out of anybody in college football with this patch. Right now, there are discussions about how industry valuations are valuing most schools anywhere from like $4 to $6 million. There has been even the $7 million range kind of thrown around. Again, nothing confirmed here, but that's kind of what's been talked about for Ohio State and the value that their jersey brings and being able to be on it. I mean, with that kind of money, Connor, that has to provide some type of benefit for Ohio State, the athletic department, hopefully the football program. I mean, I hope that they're doing this. They're giving the football program the most of the money. But do you see a benefit here for Ohio State over the Big Ten nationally or anything like that?
For right now, I'm going to say yes. Although I do think you'll see more teams get into jersey patches, so it won't be a necessarily a massive advantage. But at the bare minimum, they'll be able to keep up, and they won't take a backseat to anybody. Right now, yes, you're going to have the advantage, but once other teams start to get in on it the next couple of years, then it'll be evened out. But even then, I mean, if everyone in the country gets it, you're still gonna at the bare minimum be competing with all them. You're not going to be taking a backseat to anybody.
And I mean, let's just be honest. This is the most valuable 4 inches in Columbus, right? Nobody else is paying for their branding to be on 4 inches for almost $7 million, right?
I don't think so. I don't think so.
I mean, if you got something like that, let me know because I'm not really sure where else could be, but yeah, I'm with you. Like this isn't gonna like this patch isn't gonna let you a star player or anything like that. This isn't gonna suit some star linebacker up against Michigan, and he's gonna be the difference between you winning or losing or anything like that in those games. The money is there, but it's still only like 2% of the entire athletic budget for Ohio State based off some of the rumor numbers we heard. I
Yeah.
very highly doubt we're gonna get the exact numbers from Ross Bjork. He doesn't even wanna talk about NIL at all. He kinda learned that talking about $20 million roster and everything else, which, that's out the window. Everybody else, but people had a lot
Yeah.
to say on that. So
Gosh.
I look at this and I say maybe some stuff for facilities, maybe some recruiting staff stuff. Maybe you can provide a little bit more scratch for paying a player or two or something like that. But overall, I mean, this is one of those situations where everybody's doing it, and Ohio State's going to be making the most out of almost anybody. So there can be some benefit, but there's going to be no huge benefit of this that I think the fans are going to see right off the bat.
And you mentioned it, maybe they go to facilities or helping with personnel. I'm not sure how they're gonna allocate those funds, but even then, if you're getting like it is, $6, $7 million or whatever the price may be, that's money you don't have to pull out of your own account or your own funds. So whatever, and it'll help them out in a good way, even though it is not some massive number.
True, true. Alright, so the thing that people can be excited about now because, Ohio State, I think they were like, "Alright, well, people are not gonna like that we have a jersey patch on here. Let's give them the gray sleeves back, Connor." This is this is what the people have been asking for a while, the gray sleeves. Now, if you and I read the release about this and when Nike kinda put it out there, they're not going back to exclusively what the gray sleeves were. They're kinda going a little bit more silver here because they want it to match the helmets a little bit more. I mean, we can kinda see the difference in this picture that we're looking at here on YouTube, but ultimately, I don't think we're really gonna see it until, we seeing it on the field, and maybe it'll really look night games, the one night game a year that we get, with the lights on and everything. But, I mean, what's your thoughts seeing the gray sleeve back on the jersey, looking a little bit more silver than it is gray, but what's your thoughts, Connor?
I love it. I mean, like you said, it's more silver than gray, but my earliest memory was watching Ohio State where he's in the 2014 CFP. And at the time, I'll be honest with you, I thought those were the best jerseys in college football. I thought they were super sweet. I'm glad they're bringing them back. Of course, they have worn them in the playoffs in the past, but the fact that it's going to be a full time thing now, I love them, and I think it's a great touch to some of their history back in the 40s, 50s, 60s when they did wear those, and obviously ties in well with the helmets and make things pop a little more.
Well, and the nice thing too is that, like, we're gonna get Jeremiah Smith in the jerseys with these with these gray sleeves for at least a year. Like, this somebody as
Yeah.
impactful in the Ohio State history, the Ohio State lore, and everything else as Jeremiah Smith to be able to play at least 1 year with these, gray, silver, whatever you wanna call them, sleeves on this year. They can just turn a little bit and hide the patch there. I think we'll be in a really good situation and be able to make for a lot of really good pictures.
No, 100%. I mean, these are some of the more iconic, I guess you'd call it details of a jersey. And whenever you have those iconic players like a Jeremiah Smith in there, it enhances everything about it.
For sure, for sure. All right, hey, a little bit of a shorter episode, but we can just get out there and talk about the jersey patches, talk about the sleeves, and kind of what's get leaked there. Obviously, like I said, nothing official from Ohio State yet. I'm sure they will out there and talk about it at some point once they get it officially announced. Connor, any final thoughts here? And then where can people find your stuff at over at BuckeyeHuddle.com? And is there anything out there you put out there lately that you want people to see?
Um, In terms of your last question, I am working on a Tavian St. Clair article. I know it's being the big topic with him and Julian Same, but Chris Carter had some high praise for him on a podcast recently. So I'm working on a piece about that, what he said about Tavian St. Clair. But you can find all my stuff at C Smith Media on Twitter, and then obviously Buckeye Huddle. Stay on there looking for some things because I'll have a lot coming out within the next few weeks. We got fall camp in about 2 weeks, but before that, I also have some good content coming out.
For sure, and we're gonna have a lot of stuff once fall camp starts back up, and then
Mhm.
obviously, more information about everything as the season rolls in. It's almost August. We're almost here, and Big Ten Media Days coming up too. So Connor, you'll be there for that, correct?
Mhm. I actually will not. Kevin and Mark will be there. I was planning on doing it, but with me relocating to Columbus, it just would have been too much. But I will be covering it remotely, still doing content, articles, and following along with everything that the coaches and Tony Batiti are saying.
Very good, very good. Well, you'll get coverage from Kevin, Mark, and everybody else there. And come join us over at BuckeyeHuddle.com on the message board. You got Kevin, Mark, myself, Connor, TJ, Andrew, all the guys over there covering the team, giving you nice topics to talk about everything and some information here and there that makes you know a little bit more about the program. So thanks for joining us here at BuckeyeHuddle.com or YouTube.com/Buckeye Huddle. And we'll see you next time. Have a good one.